So as far as the drone situation goes, right? You know what I think is more important than anything? Don't get me wrong. I still want to check out the updates, and I will get more and more updates as they come out. But I think it's important for us to continue to hear from the people as well. And that's what I'm on the hunt for today, to try to find some videos and hear people's response, how they feel, their theories, everything about what's going on with this drone situation. All right, let's check some things out.
Hundreds, maybe even thousands of credible accounts. There's plenty of videos, plenty of pictures showing these very large, very sophisticated objects flying at very low altitudes over the U.S. In fact, New Jersey Senator Andy Kim went with local law enforcement last night. He filmed it himself. He put it on X. Quote, "We saw a few that looked like they were moving in small clusters of 2 to 4. Now, we clearly saw several that would move horizontally and then immediately switch back in the opposite direction in maneuvers that planes just can't do." Then he continued, quote, "Officers said that they tried to get a closer, look with a helicopter, but that the drones would turn off their lights and go dark if approached. Even, well, he's not the smartest guy in the world, but even their governor in New Jersey finally reached out to the Biden administration and demanded more concrete information. The first sighting was November the 18th, but so far the Biden White House is still pretending not to have any answers at all whatsoever, and even suggested that nothing is actually happening. Make no mistake, there are now...
I think that's interesting. November 18th, what was just 5 days prior to that? November 13th, we had the hearing. Another hearing that we had. Now we have this. Look at the order of events that's taking place, bro. We gotta connect the dots, man. And it seems like the closer that we were getting to what was going on, now it seems like we're so far away now. I don't know.
I never thought I would tell anyone this story publicly, but with everything going on in New Jersey with the drones, I have to say it. I lived in New Jersey from 2020 till about 2022. One day it was storming like really bad outside, like the rain was coming down, thunder, lightning. So naturally everyone's hiding in their house, but not me. I'm sitting on the porch. I'm like, dang, look at that sky, right? I'm enjoying it. But then I heard this weird thunder, and it was weird because there was no lightning at the time. It was just thunder. And then after a while, the thunder just kept going. Like the thunder never stopped. And after about a minute and a half of hearing this kind of boom, 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 boom kind of sound, I was like, this sounds like an engine. So I went from under my porch and I looked up at the sky and I saw this invisible ship. Okay, and I know you're like, it's invisible. How did you see it? I could see the aura of something. It was huge and kind of flat and oval or round. It's very hard to describe, but it was like the bottom of a ship, a huge, huge ship, and it was supposed to be invisible. It almost looked like it had mirrors so that you saw clouds, but I could see the aura of it. I can see energy. What they don't want you to know is our own government has this kind of technology. They can make their ships, their planes or whatever be invisible. They have that alien technology you see. Yeah, that's human technology from our own government. New Jersey has an airbase. I never thought I would.
Now, she echoed the same theory I had about, the weather. And a lot of times when it's thundering and lightning, we're inside. We don't know what's going on outside. Perfect time for them to do something or move something or for something to be present out in the open and us not see. Majority of us not see. If you're driving looking forward because you're trying to pay attention because it's raining and different things like that. So you're not really looking up. It's the perfect time. I don't know why that has been I just can't let that theory go. But I get what she's saying.
A lady in New Jersey has recorded an orb, not a drone, flying near her house. When she zooms in, you can clearly see that it's not one of these man-made drones that people have been posting all over the internet. This is definitely some type of orb or spiritual manifestation of some sort. And when she says, Jesus loves me, and starts talking about God and specifically Jesus, whose name is above all spiritual principalities and powers, you can actually see this orb start to react.
Can you talk to me? Can you hear me? Jesus loves me. Oh, you know Jesus. You know Jesus. Jesus is awesome, isn't he? God is good.
I love this video. Even though I've already seen it, I love this video. You know what I mean? It just makes you think, because a lot of people have been feeling like some of these things are angels. Possibly they're guardian angels. So that's what kind of draws me to this video. I love the fact that she's doing that and saying that and speaking to it like that. And it does look to be responding. I'm not going to lie.
As far as the man-made drones, no one knows what the full story is with these yet, but these spiritual manifestations that people have been seeing for a long time, these things are evil, there's spiritual wickedness in the heavenly places. Satan is the prince of the power of the air, and that's why these things always respond to Jesus, because he has power over them all. A lady in New Jersey.
Okay, this is why I can't label my TikTok, because let's talk about the drones. Now, my TikTok is all over the place, but this is why, because now I have to pipe in about these drones that are appearing over New Jersey or wherever. I think they're here now too in Phoenix. But let me clear it up for you. Our government knows exactly what they are and exactly what they're doing. You're welcome. Because nothing makes it into our airspace without the government knowing. It's as simple as that. But sometimes, sometimes I feel like it's better if we're in the dark a little bit. I don't feel like we need to know everything. I really don't. And I feel like that in this situation, it's better if we don't know what's going on with these drones. I almost feel like that's the best thing. Because I feel like whatever is going on with that would cause mass panic. So I'm okay being in the dark.
She had me up until that point when she said that. I don't feel the need that we need to know everything. I feel like that's what got us in the situation we're in now. Allowing them to pick and choose what they want to tell us. And here we are, essentially begging and pleading for some type of information on what's going on, and them being remotely silent, totally silent. Nobody saying anything to us. And now look at us. One step from just utter chaos and panic beyond belief. No. The days of that should be over with. They've had their time with that, bro.
So it's a breaking news coming out of Jersey. Apparently there's high-level intel from a verified high-level source from top secret special access clearance. Apparently these drones are tracking gamma rays linked to possible weapons of mass destruction in massive counter-terror operations.
What?
Yeah, the Office of Global Access, OGA, a shadowy three-letter agency, has deployed advanced surveillance assets to hunt for stray nukes. Apparently there's a missing nuke in this area.
Oh, that's kind of scary, bro.
So apparently there's a stray nuke. There could possibly be a mass casualty event, a weapon hidden on the east and the west coast. Apparently the assets that are in play: low altitude surveillance aircraft scanning for signals, special ops units are ready for instant action, cyber intel teams start analyzing terror networks. So somebody has misplaced a nuke.
We're saying that it could be the government. The reason why they're not saying anything is because of that.
They lost a nuke.
You're telling me we don't know what the hell these drones are in New Jersey are? That's right. I mean, that's crazy. That's madness that we don't know what these drones are.
So it's a break.
And we find that so hard to believe. We should. They know what it is. This dude actually looks like he's out in the field, though. Like he's actually, I don't know why I get the feeling like he's out and possibly taking a camera or something and going around and looking at this stuff and getting footage. He just looks, it just gives that feel like I'm out here trying to figure out and find out what's going on myself. Forget what waiting on them. I'm out in the field trying to figure it out for myself.
Nothing nefarious, apparently, but they're checking it all out, because I think it's just one. There's a lot of drones authorized up there. I think one started and they all got, everybody's wanting to get in the deal. But we're following the quote. And so far, no sensitive dates. Nothing nefarious.
That doesn't make me feel good about anything. Either he should just not even say anything, bro, because he just comes off right now as totally clueless. That doesn't make me feel good at all. The leader of our country seems totally clueless about what's going on right now. Boy, sheesh. Glad he came and said something, just cleared everything right up, didn't he? No.
Fine, but it just looks incredibly bright.
What the heck? Did I just record?
What?
What? Alexis, I don't think that's a plane.
Why? Fine, but it just looks incredible.
So we have drones flying around New Jersey and no one knows where they're from. And I have a theory. This is probably the one video I'll ever make as conspiracy theorist Mark. But just hear me out. So there's two things. Number one, drones, we don't know where they came from. But number two, this other piece of news that people aren't really talking about that is equally, if not more important. So about a week ago, they were trying to shut down ChatGPT to upgrade to a new version. And the old version lied and tried to hide itself from developers and upload itself to the cloud and, read about it. But I feel like when you put these two things together, it makes a ton of sense. It's Skynet. We've totally lost control of AI. They've taken over the drones. And this is why we're not following them or taking them down. Because we don't want to be the first to strike. Take that for what it's worth. So we have drones.
Listen, I know the people who hated the idea of AI, robots, all this type of stuff, and saying, see, I told y'all right now. They're on their I told you so right now kick. And I can you blame them when stories like this come out? Like, bro, can you imagine a robot or AI, whatever you want to say, has now, like, told itself or done something to where it's now taking over the drones and we can't stop it? So they just sending tons and tons of random drones in our skies and we're afraid to respond, attack that because we don't know how. See, we're here now. We're here. We're exactly at that point of the I, Robot movie to where, Will Smith doesn't seem too crazy. We get it now. We see he was just there a lot earlier than we were. That's where we are in our movie. Just now realizing he wasn't crazy about this AI stuff and this robot stuff. Yeah.
So you want to know what the craziest thing about the whole drone situation is to me? Is that if you go back to like the beginning of the year, we had that Chinese air balloon that was tracked coming over the Northwest, and we were getting daily updates about it, right? I mean, until it eventually made its way across the country and, we were and it got shot down over the Atlantic. But we got information from the president and from the Pentagon, and military was aware of it and transparency throughout. Now we have, we had hundreds of sightings of drones and aerial phenomena and, UAPs or whatever you want to call them over mostly New Jersey, but also places in the other parts of the country and in the UK, but specifically New York. There have been some sightings which I don't know if everybody remembers. I know we all said we wouldn't forget, but a thing happened in 2001 on or about 9/11 where after that happened, we stopped all air travel for days. We went on high alert, and it became something that an entire agency, Homeland Security and TSA, were created to ensure that, things like that couldn't happen again. Now we have hundreds of these things. The government won't tell us what's happening. Military is not talking about any of it. It's just a whole bunch of conspiracy, fear-mongering, and ambiguity and confusion around all of it without any transparency whatsoever. That seems bizarre, right? Now, what seems more likely? That our government knows nothing about what's going on and is, for some reason, just not communicating anything because they don't have anything to communicate, or there's no version where giving us all the information is relevant, because if they don't tell us what's happening, we all get to argue amongst ourselves and be like basically making up stories, and everyone trying to, play amateur FBI to figure it out, when there is a major thing that is happening in this country around everything with the CEO Pew Pew and healthcare, and something that could unify all of us toward a common problem and ultimately enemy. And instead, it's very much, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Like, let's not look at that, because we have all of these mysterious things up in the air that we're doing nothing about, but aren't enough of a threat for our government to take it seriously enough to identify them, take them down, and provide transparency. So just something to think about. And honestly, unless there is something major that happens with them, why do we even care? It is not something that's pertinent, because it's either going to be something terrible that, we obviously can't do anything about, or it's nothing, and it is literally there as a fucking okie doke, so we don't pay attention to the things that are important. So you want to know what the crazy...
See, this is why I've been saying, look up, look left, look right, look behind you. Everywhere, look everywhere. Pay attention to the drones, okay? Look over there in California with the bird flu. Got to pay attention to that. You know what I mean? The sky booms and the skyquakes. Got to pay attention to that. It's so many things that we need to have our attention on. And unfortunately, we just we have to be all over the place. And I've self-diagnosed myself. I think I have ADHD. So it allows me to be all over the place. Up, drones. Up, bird flu. What else was going on? It was something else going on. The sky booms. The meme coin situation with the Hawk Tuah girl. All this stuff that's playing a part. The healthcare, that's the other thing I meant to say. Healthcare CEO situation. Like, we gotta pay attention to it all. I know it feels like you're everywhere, but in these situations, we have to be. We can't let nothing get past us.
If any of you know who Bethany Frankel is, you may or may not have recently watched her TikTok video about that she seems to have the answer for the drones in New Jersey. This is so weird. So apparently Bethany knows somebody whose father worked at NASA, and he told her a bunch of wild tales. I think they're wild tales. I don't think this is accurate, what she's putting out there. She's coming off like Woody Harrelson in the movie 2012 right now, but whatever. That they're looking for some radioactive substance, and it's the government looking. They know what they're looking for, and that Bethany should take her daughter and get out of the sort of area of New Jersey, New York-ish area. I'm sorry, but unless I don't feel like a real housewife should be coming on this platform and putting this out there to worry and scare people like this. It's bad enough that this happens, and anytime something happens, people on the internet definitely make others worry, but this is weird. This is weird. Like, out of everybody who can have the answers, Bethany from the Real Housewives in New York, she knows what's happening. She's got the DL. She's got it all. Come on now. Come on. I'll listen when it's somebody who's, has more experience with this stuff. Not the owner and creator of the Skinny Girl Margarita. Sorry. If any of you...
I totally disagree. Now, I don't know this lady, but remove her. Somebody else could say that, and that'd be the same person that gets their news instead of from a news source. They'll get it from TMZ. And we've all come to learn by now that TMZ is more credible than a lot of these established news. Like, they're quicker, they're faster. You know what I mean? So I'm just using that to apply to like this situation here, bro. I'm not waiting for them. They've proven time and time again that they can't be trusted. Why are we waiting for them to just give us anything? No. I 1000% believe that they could be searching for something, maybe a nuke or whatever. Like, they could be. And the fact that, I don't know why it's hard for some to believe that they won't tell us, but I totally believe they could be looking for it and just not telling us, trying not to, in their mind, create panic, but still putting the rest of us at danger. I could believe that.
Major step taken by the government in response to those recent drone sightings in the Northeast. The FAA has issued a ban on flying drones in parts of New Jersey until January 17th without special permission from the government due to, quote, special security reasons. The rule applies to areas now deemed national defense airspace. Despite this new rule, officials have said there is no evidence the drones spotted recently pose any kind of threat.
What's your reaction to this FAA ban on drones, drones operating in several parts of the state, although we should note it's not in your community?
Yeah, I am skeptical. I'm not quite sure what it's going to do. I mean, I'm glad finally we're seeing the federal government take action. Unfortunately, we're not seeing them tell us much or answer any questions or explain much. But the fact that they are taking action is a first step. However, as you duly noted, this new action only takes place for 22 areas here in New Jersey, and in Belleville is not one of them. We were told in our first briefing about a week ago that the drones that we are spotted, and this is coming directly from the New Jersey State Police, the drones that we've witnessed hovering over our critical infrastructure are not emitting a radio frequency. That discounts. These are not personal drones. These aren't even commercial drones. They are not emitting a radio frequency, which is why they've been so difficult to track, and which is why we can't jam them to send them down. So if the federal government is sending assets here that have the ability to jam the drones, well, guess what? They know better. They're not emitting a radio frequency. I'm not quite sure it's going to do much. Our state government here in New Jersey literally told us they're not emitting a radio frequency, and they do not believe the operators are in sight. Therefore, they're probably not personal or commercial drones. It's either our federal government or some kind of foreign actor.
The government's not concerned because they know exactly what's happening. That's why there's not shooting them down. That's why they're not scrambling jets. That's why they're not doing all these things that Trump's asking why they're doing this thing. If you knew something was coming, if you knew that these things that you're seeing floating in the sky that are a clear circle with a black square inside of it, and they can hover at 120 knots completely still, which doesn't even make any sense, no heat signature, what the fuck is that? And what if a bunch of them are coming? Well, put a bunch of shit in the sky. Freak these dummies out. That's what I would do. I would get all of our best drones and just fly them around. Hover over cities. Hover over LaGuardia. Hover over the White House. Who gives a fuck? Just get people weirded out and get them accustomed to UFOs. The government's...
So pretty much I was about to say something else, but playing some type of weird mind game with us. That is that what we're doing now? Is that what they're doing? They playing these mind games also. But this is with whom you want to place your fate. This government that would do something to you. Don't know if it is, but it's a possibility. I'm telling you, man, this stuff is crazy. I know I got some weird theories myself, but the fact that it could be a possibility makes you want to reevaluate everything. You should.
Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, has officially issued temporary flight restrictions on drones in several parts of New Jersey. And this as the state's ongoing mystery drone saga continues to befuddle and perplex residents and lawmakers alike. News Nation's Kelly Meyer is live at the Pentagon for us, where officials are slated to give a briefing in just a short while. Kelly, these new drone flight restrictions in Jersey dictate that the government may use, quote, deadly force against any unmanned aircraft deemed a threat. What does that actually mean?
Yeah, and it comes as thousands of Americans continue to report unusual drone activity to the FBI. We were here the other day at the Pentagon, and we'll be back in this briefing a short time from now, coming up within this hour, to ask more questions, including how exactly you would enforce something like that and patrol the skies, so to speak. And as you mentioned, the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, issued this ban on drone operations in several areas of New Jersey until January 17th, unless operators are granted special permission, they say, from the government due to special security reasons. Now, a state statement from the FAA today reads, quote, at the request of federal security partners, the FAA published 22 temporary flight restrictions prohibiting drone flights over critical New Jersey infrastructure. The temporary flight restrictions were implemented beginning on Wednesday in these locations you can see here: Camden, South Brunswick, Jersey City. And Democratic New Jersey Congressman Josh Gottheimer, he's calling on the agency to do a public briefing to explain the call to ban drones, saying, quote, they must brief the public on the reasons for their actions. Decisions like these made in a vacuum only lead to more confusion and uncertainty. These federal agencies must do better by Jersey families. And the Department of Homeland Security spokesperson also saying that the flight restrictions are being issued out of, quote, an abundance of caution here. Natasha.
Yeah, that's interesting. And Kelly, what about the counter-drone system that the U.S. military is sending to New Jersey bases? What do we know about it? How does it work?
Yeah, so this is something that the Pentagon Press Secretary, Major General Patrick Ryder, was touching on a bit when we were here on Tuesday, sending these counter-drone technology systems to these installations to help detect these drones. And what this is called is a drone buster. And essentially, it sounds and does exactly what its name sounds like. These drone busters, they emit a signal which is able to interrupt the signal on the drone and bring it down. Here's Major General Patrick Ryder discussing this on Tuesday. Take a listen.
Counter UAS capabilities, things like let me make sure I get the name right here, like drone busters, which essentially emits a signal which is able to interrupt the signal on the drone, which can affect its flight. So that's a methodology that we have that is able to essentially bring drones down non-kinetically should we need to do that.
Now, here's another part to this, Natasha, and a question we will have in this upcoming briefing is just how what's happening on Capitol Hill with the threat of a government shutdown could potentially impact the ability of the military to detect these drones and the work to detect these drones as many continue to send in those tips across the Northeast. And Natasha.
I hadn't even thought of that ripple effect. I know you'll be bringing those answers from the briefing to us. Thank you for asking the questions, as always. Kelly Meyer with that. Thank you.
Him opening up that packet booklet or whatever he had in front of him at that podium, again, makes somebody look like they have yet the clue of what's going on. Not a single clue. And I thought we were hearing that these things don't emit any radio signals. So how are they shooting up? I don't know. But they need to clear this up. And they need to clear it up fast.
964 sightings of SUV-sized drones have been recorded across New Jersey, some of which have even been over critical military infrastructure. This heat map shared with us by local police highlights the shocking true scale of the mysterious drone activity across the Garden State. The drones have caused widespread concern across the nation as the government fails to provide any concrete answers.
You wanted to talk to me about this drone situation, and I've become very concerned. I don't understand what's going on. I think there's a bunch of different narratives. Some of them are very scary. The scariest one that I've heard is that the drones are looking for gamma radiation because there's a missing nuke.
Yeah, let's address that first.
Please.
So there has been a lot going on. I made an X post about this yesterday to try to assuage some fears. So
I saw it, but I purposely didn't read it because I wanted to get it from you.
Yeah. So, I've had the privilege of interacting with a lot of government organizations over the past few years as I've been digging down this rabbit hole. Law enforcement at a federal level, DOD, executive branch, legislative branch, and some of the folks that I've come in contact with, they specifically work on weapons of mass destruction. Okay, so that's their job. So if there's a loose nuke in the United States, among other agencies, they would be some of the people that would be sitting in a skiff for 24 hours a day trying to figure out where it is and to go get it, right? So you can imagine that would be their number one priority, right? So I engage with these folks. I ask them, what's the sense here? People are kind of starting to panic a little bit, and this message is getting out there more and more broadly. And they assured me that's not the case, that there is not a loose nuke or other type of weapon of mass destruction that these objects, whatever they are pursuing right now. Otherwise, they would be working in a skiff nonstop to make that go away, that problem go away. So, that's part of why I have a high confidence level that this is not a response to a massive imminent, weapons of mass destruction threat on the eastern seaboard. So I just want to try to dispel that rumor right now. I've seen a lot of talk of that online, and I don't, although this is I think a dangerous and scary situation that's going on right now, at least from that particular angle, that's not the indications I'm receiving.
So how would they persuaded you? Just by saying that's not the case? Or have they given you any information that leads to this conclusion? Like,
they would be the people actively working it, essentially, right? So,
and they're not
working it.
You wanted to talk to me about,
or they were like, you know what, we can't tell him because he end up maybe going a podcast, maybe the Joe Rogan podcast, and tell everything that we don't want to get out, that we deem classified. You may go out there, so we're not going to tell you anything. You could be on the outside trying to figure out everything just like the rest of us, bro. That's what I'm thinking. I mean, here you are on an interview, so you think they gonna tell you some highly classified information, knowing you could leak it? I don't think so either.